talking about here on my channel right now. It's all about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, but not the kind of happy that the internet sells you. You wake up, grab your phone, and before your coffee even cools, you're knee-deep in other people's outrage. Someone's trending, someone's canceled, and someone somewhere is recording a 30-minute expose about a celebrity they've never met. And that's how the day starts. Another cycle of digital bloodsport, disguised as commentary. Today we're talking about something darker than clickbait, something the algorithm doesn't want you to look at for too long. YouTuber harassment. Not criticism, not journalism. Harassment. Especially the kind aimed at Blake Lively fans, and the way it's been engineered to make cruelty profitable. Because make no mistake, this isn't random. It's a business model. The hate machine is automated, monetized, and perfectly timed to strike when empathy is asleep. Let's rewind to where this cycle really began. The Laura Owens trial. The story that pulled a curtain back on how YouTube commentators build careers out of twisting celebrity pain into entertainment. When that trial hit social media, everyone pretended they were just giving updates. But the tone, that mock-sincere smirk, the feigned concern, it was all theater. They weren't chasing truth. They were chasing engagement. Every tear, every courtroom pause, every shaky breath became a meme template before the verdict even dropped. And then came the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga, the storm that re-exposed how deep this obsession runs. TMZ, the self-appointed referee of Hollywood chaos, rushed out a headline saying Justin's $400 million lawsuit was over. People cheered, mocked, celebrated. But behind the noise, behind the thumbnails and the outrage clips, the truth was quieter and more complicated. The lawsuit wasn't dead. Justin still had room to appeal. The ink wasn't dry, but YouTube had already decided the ending. That's the danger of the attention economy. Facts move slower than fury. TMZ got it wrong, but the ripple effect was instant. Dozens of YouTubers hit record that same night, milking the confusion for content. Titles screamed Baldoni destroyed or Lively wins big, but none of them waited for confirmation. The truth doesn't trend, not when the lie gets better clicks. And Blake's fans, they paid the price. They became collateral damage. The same creators who built their channels off gossip about her career or marriage turned those followers into ammunition. They framed fan support as delusion, love as blindness, and loyalty as cult behavior. They'd splice screenshots of random fans defending Blake, zoom in on usernames, mock their tone, and upload it as analysis. And the comment section turned into a firing squad. They call it content. I call it digital cruelty with a monetization button. But this didn't start with Blake. This is part of a wider shift, a cultural sickness that rewards negativity. Because outrage sells, empathy doesn't. Every platform knows this. TikTok knows it, YouTube lives by it, and commentary creators exploit it like oxygen. The algorithm favors conflict, so the people who thrive on conflict learn to manufacture it. And when the real world runs out of scandals, they invent new ones. We saw that with Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour, when a simple interview was twisted into tension. Suddenly, clips were slowed down, expressions misread, and thumbnails painted the Stranger Things cast as enemies. Commentators framed it as body language breakdowns, but the subtext was always the same. Tear someone down for a headline. Now, imagine being a fan, not a celebrity, not a journalist, just someone who loves Blake Lively's work, who grew up watching Gossip Girl or admired her advocacy. You defend her online, and within hours, your handle appears in a reaction video as an example of toxic fandom. You're not famous, but you're suddenly public property. The digital mob never sleeps because the algorithm never rests. And here's the real kicker. YouTube rewards this. The more outrage you create, the more comments you get, the higher your video climbs. Harassment becomes currency. People get paid to dehumanize. It's not commentary. It's performance art for the desensitized. I've studied this cycle for years, And every time it feels like we've hit peak toxicity, the internet finds a new low. Let's talk about the freedom of speech excuse. The favorite shield of every commentary channel that crosses the line. They'll say, "We're just giving opinions." Sure, but when your opinion includes mocking mental health, spreading misinformation, and targeting ordinary fans, that's not speech. That's strategy. You're weaponizing an audience for profit. And that's exactly what's happening in the Blake Lively hate economy. When TMZ misreports, these creators don't fact-check, they amplify. When a rumor drops, they don't verify, they monetize. And when Blake's fans defend her, they're branded delusional. It's psychological warfare, dressed up as digital entertainment. I remember watching a clip titled, "Why Everyone's Done with Blake Lively." The host smirked through every sentence, pretending to analyze her career choices, but what he was really doing was planting seeds, subtle digs about her character, her relationships, her authenticity. It wasn't journalism. It was character assassination for views. And here's where it gets darker, because that's exactly how public perception shifts. When enough people hear the same half-truths repeated by enough creators, it starts sounding like reality. And once the public turns, there's no rewind button. You can delete videos, but you can't delete the impression they leave behind. Even the Justice for Clayton community, a space meant to discuss a separate legal tragedy, became a playground for trolls who wanted to drag Blake's name into everything. They twisted unrelated updates into conspiracy threads, linking people who'd never even met, all to keep engagement alive. It's a sickness, a content culture high on cruelty. And then, just when you think the cycle will finally slow down, a creator drops another update. The thumbnails look familiar. Red arrows, blurry court photos, bold yellow text. They call it breaking news, but really, it's recycled pain with new packaging. That's the machine. That's the algorithm. And that's why people keep watching. But let's be honest, this isn't just about YouTubers. It's about us, the viewers, because none of us would exist if we didn't click. The comment section is a mirror. The algorithm reflects what we crave. If we reward cruelty with attention, we're co-signing it. Every view, every like, every emoji fuels the next wave. Meanwhile, the people inside those stories, the Blakes, the Justins, the Loris, they're living real consequences while the rest of us refresh. And yes, there's a part 2 coming, because the story's far from over. Justin Baldoni's legal team isn't done. His ability to appeal that $400 million lawsuit still stands, no matter what TMZ's first headline claimed. But that nuance won't trend. What trends is the outrage. Still, here's what you need to remember. Legal silence doesn't mean defeat. Sometimes it means strategy. And the real war isn't being fought in the courtroom. It's being fought online, between creators and truth itself. This is bigger than fandoms, bigger than Blake, bigger than one lawsuit. This is about an entire system that rewards destruction and disguises it as discussion. We've turned defamation into dopamine, and the internet, our digital coliseum, keeps feeding the lions. We'll dig deeper. Who's orchestrating this cycle? How the same creators connect through back-channel group chats, and how PR manipulation fuels the illusion that commentary is journalism. We'll also explore what's next for Justin's legal team, and why TMZ's error might actually shift the momentum in his favor. Because the story you were told isn't the full truth. It's just the one that sold better. This is Coravanta, and we're not done yet. When TMZ dropped that headline, it spread like wildfire. Justin Baldoni loses $400 million lawsuit. Those words were enough to set the internet ablaze. No one paused to check the filings. No one questioned the timing, because outrage doesn't wait for confirmation. It just feeds, grows, and spreads like a virus. But behind those headlines, there was silence. Not defeat, silence. Justin's team didn't rush to respond. They didn't go live, didn't issue statements. They let the noise echo. Because sometimes in a media war, silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. The truth is this. The appeal is still on the table. TMZ either didn't know or didn't care. What mattered was being first, not being right. And that's how misinformation becomes immortality on the internet. It doesn't have to be true, it just has to be loud. But what most people don't understand is that stories like this aren't just misreports, they're tools. They're part of a bigger machine designed to control public perception before the facts even surface. In Hollywood, your reputation is your currency. Destroy it early enough, and no amount of truth can restore its value. So while TMZ ran their exclusive, YouTubers jumped in line to cash in. Every creator suddenly became a legal analyst overnight, spewing half-read court snippets and moral lectures. Titles like Baldoni's career over or Blake's final victory explained started flooding the feed. And every one of those thumbnails, the courtroom photo, the red arrows, the smug tone, was another layer of manipulation. It wasn't information. It was influence. Let's be real. There's a reason the commentary community moves in sync. They share each other's videos, use identical talking points, and echo the same framing. Because somewhere behind the scenes, someone benefits from that uniform narrative. This isn't conspiracy. It's PR, coordinated media strategy disguised as independent outrage. And that's where the Blake Lively angle comes in. Every time her name trends, there's money on the table. Whether it's through praise or hate, her brand fuels engagement. She's not just an actress. She's an algorithmic asset. So when a lawsuit story dropped, creators didn't care about the legal complexity. They saw one thing: views. YouTube's ecosystem rewards whoever shouts the loudest. And so, the loudest voices became the most dishonest. But here's the twist. Justin Baldoni's legal silence might be his smartest move yet. Because while commentary channels dissect screenshots, his team's been studying something else: precedent. They know the system. They know how TMZ frames narratives, and they're building a counterattack based on timing, accuracy, and federal appeal rights. This isn't a man walking away. It's a man sharpening the blade. And that terrifies the internet. Because when someone refuses to play the social media game, they become unpredictable. Justin's silence created a vacuum, and the commentary world hates vacuums because they can't monetize uncertainty. So they fill the silence with theories. Every video speculates, every expert projects, and every rumor becomes content. Meanwhile, Justin's attorneys are still moving, quietly, methodically. Behind closed doors, documents are being reviewed, filings drafted. The appeal is more than possible. It's probable. And if it moves forward, it will expose how misinformation shaped public bias before the case even entered a new phase. But let's talk about TMZ, the self-proclaimed authority. They're not just a news outlet. They're the amplifier that powers this entire harassment ecosystem. Because when TMZ misfires, it legitimizes chaos. It gives YouTubers permission to spread half-truths, all under the banner of reporting. And that's exactly how manipulation survives, through plausible deniability. Now imagine being a Blake Lively fan through all this. You're watching creators tear apart your favorite actress, distort legal facts, mock her supporters, and weaponize her name for clout. You defend her, comment with facts, cite real sources, and within hours, you're clipped into a reaction video as the crazy fan. That's not discussion. That's targeting. And the internet rewards it. That's why these creators don't stop. They can't afford to. One YouTuber even boasted, "I made $3,000 off one Blake video." Think about that. A creator earning thousands by exploiting a stranger's pain. Multiply that by hundreds of channels, and you get an entire economy built on humiliation. That's not commentary. That's commerce. And it's not limited to celebrities anymore. They target fans too. Everyday people with no platform to defend themselves. They screenshot DMs, read private comments aloud, and call it transparency. But really, it's entertainment. The cruelty is the content. And then they hide behind the same excuse. We're just sharing opinions. No, you're manufacturing narratives. You're building outrage economies while pretending to be journalists. You're doing TMZ's dirty work in real time, for free, because you think it's clout. But make no mistake, the people watching are waking up. Because behind every fake analysis, people are starting to see patterns. The same recycled storylines. The same manipulative tones. The same creators pretending to be neutral while feeding off the same corporate leaks. This isn't a fandom war anymore. It's a trust war. And once trust dies online, it never resurrects. Let's not forget, YouTube's algorithm pushes the content most likely to divide. That's the secret formula. Conflict boosts engagement. So when creators feud, when fans argue, when someone posts a response video, the platform wins. Creators think they're fighting each other, but really, they're fighting for the algorithm's approval. The algorithm doesn't care who's right. It cares who's loud. And that's why someone like Courtroom, someone who breaks the rhythm, who challenges the machine, becomes both hated and respected. Because when you pull back the curtain and say, hey, this isn't commentary, this is cruelty, you're threatening the ecosystem that thrives on chaos. The truth is, the YouTuber harassment cycle doesn't start with hate, it starts with hunger. Hunger for validation, for fame, for viral traction. People who once wanted to create now want to dominate. They stop analyzing and start attacking. And the audience, numb from repetition, confuses volume for value. It's a digital echo chamber where empathy goes to die. Now, let's circle back to Justin Baldoni's side, because this next part matters. Legal insiders confirm that Justin's lawyers have grounds to challenge parts of the judgment based on procedural inconsistencies. That means if his team files a motion within the next term, the appeal could reignite the entire case. And if that happens, TMZ will have to issue a correction, something they almost never do unless forced. Imagine that headline. Correction. Justin Baldoni still in legal proceedings. It wouldn't trend as hard. It wouldn't get millions of clicks. But it would expose the manipulation for what it is, manufactured narrative control. And that's the part they don't want you to see. Hollywood isn't a world of glamour. It's a battlefield of perception. The war isn't fought in courtrooms anymore. It's fought through articles, thumbnails, and sources close to the situation. Every misstep, every headline, every viral moment is weaponized. TMZ sets the spark. YouTube fans the flame. And commentary creators pour gasoline on top. The only people burned in the end are those who believed it was all just harmless entertainment. So when people say it's not that deep, it's just the internet, remind them that careers have ended because of those lies. Relationships have collapsed. People have spiraled. Words online carry weight because perception, once poisoned, rarely recovers. And the saddest part? We've normalized it. We call it drama. We call it content. But it's exploitation dressed in clickbait. The Courtroom tone cuts deeper because it doesn't flinch from that truth. This isn't about protecting celebrities. It's about confronting an ecosystem that profits from public cruelty. So when you see the next viral update, when you hear someone declare a win or a loss before court documents even finalize, pause. Ask yourself, who benefits from this narrative? Because truth doesn't trend, manipulation does. And Justin Baldoni's silence? It's not the end. It's the beginning of his counterattack. He's letting the noise exhaust itself before stepping forward. That's how you win a media war, by timing your truth when the crowd has grown tired of the lies. The next move will be quiet. Legal filings, not headlines. But when it lands, it'll expose more than just TMZ's inaccuracy. It'll expose the symbiosis between gossip media and YouTube commentary. The real story isn't the lawsuit. It's the collaboration between misinformation and monetization. Because at the end of the day, every hot take, every reaction, every breakdown, they all lead to the same destination: profit. The question is, at what cost? We've created an industry that thrives on destroying reputations. We've made pain entertaining. And somewhere along the way, we stopped asking if it was worth it. The algorithm doesn't feel remorse. The platform doesn't lose sleep. But the people at the center of these stories do. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we stop confusing cruelty for content. Because this isn't commentary. It's harassment. And it's being sold to you one click at a time. This is Coravanta. And the truth still matters.